Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. What a clever and lightheaded way to break the ice with a new employee. This story reflects a playful and good-natured workplace environment. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more entertaining stories. New employee threatens to impound my car. I am the owner. All right, so to make a very long story short, my wife and I run a tow company and a race shop. They're located in two different positions, though we do have a storage lot at the race shop for the tow company. I haven't been into the office in about a month and a half. During this time, we needed to hire a new dispatcher, and my wife went ahead and handled this, choosing a rather good candidate, if I must say. Now, with that out of the way, I can get to today's events. I showed up at the tow yard in my 96 Nissan Silvia and parked it in one of the 3 wrecker-only parking spaces in front of the building. A wrecker is the tow truck that's the size of a normal pickup truck and tows a car behind it, by the way. Having one of the 3 total wreckers currently on duty at the race shop and the keys in my pocket, there's no need for all 3 spots, and, well, I own the place, so... As I walked in the door, I went to say hello and introduce myself, and before I could get past hello, our new dispatcher immediately turned and told me that if I did not move my car, it would be impounded, and it'd be roughly $250 to get it back. I think to myself, okay, I like your fire, let's see where this goes, and tell her I will not be moving my car, and it'll be just fine where it is, and turn to walk into the restroom. I did stay in the restroom for about 15 minutes until I heard one of our trucks come rolling in the front gate. I slipped out of the bathroom and used the side exit from the building to make my way around to my parking space, meeting up with my driver. Laughing, I told the driver to just go ahead and impound it. Chuckled a bit as he looked confused, and I told him to just play along. So he hooks it up and pulls it into our gated lot around back in under 5 minutes, as I've now slipped back through the side door and walked back into the office. As I see my car go around the corner, I say to our new dispatcher, "Hey, where's Brian going with my car?" And without a stutter, she responds, "Sir, I warned you if you didn't move it, it would be impounded." Pausing for a moment, I waited for it, and after maybe 6 or 7 seconds, she asked, "Wait, how do you know who Brian is?" I cracked a bit of a smile, slung my hand out for a handshake, and said, "Hey, my name's OP, and I'm the owner here." The poor girl's face turned white as a ghost, and she immediately started reaching for the radio, not seeing the 5 guys peeking around corners snickering to themselves as they've all caught on by now. I tell her not to worry about radioing Brian, as I'll handle him, and ask her to sit down. Looking very frazzled, she grabs a seat in my office, and I sit down across from her, turn on my work PC while whistling to myself. After everything boots up, I pull up the ticket on my car's impound and void it out and inform our new dispatcher as such, with a whimpery, "Yes, sir," she's staring at her feet. Immediately behind her, all the guys are hanging in the doorway, all but holding their mouths shut. I look to our new dispatcher and stand up. I simply say, "I really like the way you handled that. No one should be parking there unless they're one of the on-duty wrecker guys. Sometimes this does require them to put their cars here in a pinch, though. Try not to cause any more friendly fire, yeah?" And before she can answer, she spun in her chair and seeing all the guys watching, they erupt into laughter, and I asked everyone in the room what they want for lunch. The new girls is on me. Surely she'll never live it down, but she's part of the team now. And our second story. Crazy HOA neighbor. I moved to Florida, never heard of HOAs, they sounded ridiculous to me. Our realtor told us we'd have to live in one or else we wouldn't be able to find a house. We get a nice house and an HOA. The HOA is a combination of single-family homes and townhouses. Working-class neighborhood. The townhouses pay more HOA fees are maintained by the HOA. Single-family homes pay a little less and are maintained by owners. HOA fees go up by 10% every single year I live there, without exception. I have 2 very meticulous neighbors. One came from a communist country and truly doesn't give 2 craps what anyone else does on their property. He's perplexed that some Americans in the land of the free love to complain about what their neighbor's doing. My other neighbor is an older guy. All he cares about in life is complaining about everyone else's yard. Yep, that kind of a-hole. He turns me in for literally everything. I wait 10 days to cut my grass instead of doing it in a week. Violation. Brown spot on my lawn from a bug or something else. Violation. Mulch looks a little old around my bushes. Violation. Left my garbage cans a couple of hours past dusk. Violation. I deal with this horse crap nonstop for 2 years. I have 3 dogs that play in the backyard. Some grass is dead from peeing and running around. I don't really care about grass that much. My yard's fenced in, so no big deal, right? Hurricane rolls through. It took down 40 feet of my fence. What does my wonderful neighbor do? Takes advantage of my fence being taken down from a natural disaster to take pictures and forward them to the HOA company. Violation, fine, and I have to pay thousands of dollars to resod my lawn for a yard that dogs will be playing in. Meanwhile, the roofs of the townhouses lose shingles or tarp for over a year after the hurricane before the HOA finally fixed them. But I'm the a-hole for some dead grass you can only see when my fence is blown down? That was the last straw. Put my house up for sale, refused to ever live in an HOA again. I found a different realtor. Found a nice house in a quiet neighborhood with no HOA. Several neighbors work on cars and keep their projects in the driveway. Some people are meticulous as hell about yards. Some, like myself, aren't really worried about plants, gardens, and grass. And everyone lives in peace and harmony, and property values are fine even without an HOA here to save us. And our next story. You think you can talk to someone like that? I'd gone shopping to the Mart of Walls and was browsing the electronics department. I was kneeling down to look at something, as I'm very tall and don't enjoy bending down too much. There was a cry of pain in the next aisle and a woman yelling, "Do give me that crap and do your damn job." I was wearing headphones and didn't hear the initial exchange, but I definitely heard the shouting. I took my headphones off and heard a young girl crying and trying to explain to the yelling woman that she didn't work there. The woman, hereafter known as C, you know what I mean. The girl will be known as YG for young girl. Me is me. A bit of information about me. I'm a near 7-foot-tall behemoth of a man. Think Heavy from Team Fortress 2? Look it up if you're unfamiliar with the character. Complete with shaved head and ability to imitate a Russian accent, I'm obsessed with different accents and love to make people laugh by pulling one out at random. I walked around the corner and see C holding YG by the hair and shaking her while screeching something about treating customers better. You know the idiot Karen spiel. I decided to have a little fun with C and perhaps scare her like she scared this poor child. Me. What in the hell is going on? Why are you pulling hair of my niece? C, who had the good sense to let go of the girl when she saw the hulking monster looming over her, she was being rude and wouldn't help me. Me. She does not work for store, stupid. You better leave before I call police and have you arrested for assault. C couldn't run away fast enough. I asked YG if she was okay, and she said she was. YG thanked me for coming to her rescue. It was at this point a manager had arrived, probably called by an employee asking what was going on. YG and I explained, and he asked if we wanted to call the police and have the woman charged. YG declined, and I said, C has probably learned more of a lesson from being confronted by me than she would from an assault charge. I figure being as big as I am, it's my duty as a decent-ish human being to help the young people when the old C's are being C's to them. With great size comes great responsibility. It shouldn't take someone like you to keep the world's nasty old bags on good behavior, but thank you for doing what you do. It must be deeply satisfying to watch the fear of God come into people's eyes as they turn around. And our last story. Neighbor demands I stop parking my car in my driveway. All right, so just to quickly set the stage, November of 2019, my wife and I signed a 2-year lease on a nice loft-style second-story apartment in the historic part of town. It has 5 parking spaces behind it that are roughly 30 feet deep and side by side. The furthest space from the house, I put a 12x8 shed in it and parked my Rocket Bunny V2 Subaru BRZ in front of said shed. Underneath our apartment is a single mother in her mid-40s. We'll be moving come November as our dream house will be done being built by then. The downstairs neighbor, Karen for this story, has a single car, a Honda Accord. I have the BRZ above and my F-350 dually. My wife has a police model Explorer. Okay, so it's been quite the weekend of fun. Thursday, Karen approached my wife screeching that we needed to park the BRZ on the street because she cannot see her children playing at the park from the window in her living room with it parked where it is. My wife simply responded, "Cars park in driveways, Karen," and shrugged her off. Friday evening, my in-laws drove 3 hours up to our home for the first dinner we've all shared since before quarantine started. A big deal, as my father-in-law is one of my best friends and my wife is super close with her parents. They parked in spot 2, spot 1 being closest, and Karen's, with the 3 cars we keep at home in spots 3, 4, and 5. Dinner was great until my father-in-law and I walked out onto the deck to smoke a cigar. We regularly go to events and such to collect high-end ones. While smoking and cracking a few beers, my father-in-law notices that Karen has parked her car sideways behind his Porsche as well as my wife's Explorer. Not remembering that the screech my wife had told me about the night before, I call Karen to ask her to move her car. The call goes as follows. Karen: "Yes?" Me: "Hey, not sure if you were unloading groceries or what, but could you please park your car correctly in the driveway?" Karen, looking out her window: "My car's parked in the driveway. That's where cars go." Me: "You're blocking in wife's parents as well as wife's car." Karen: "Not my problem. Figure it out." Click. I had my phone on speaker and father-in-law, U.S. Air Force Colonel, retired, overheard. Father-in-law: "Want me to go talk to her?" Me: "She told us to figure it out, right?" Father-in-law immediately starts to grin, knowing what I'm thinking. You see, I own a tow company, and 24/7 I have at least 4 trucks on call and ready to go. So I called my dispatcher and asked her who was up next in rotation, then told her he would be busy for a while. I called the driver and had him go to the office, pick up the wrecker, the small tow truck that tows a car behind it and is used mostly for repossessions and impounds, then head to my house. I hung up with him and called the town police department asking who the sergeant on duty was, then called him on his personal phone. The sergeant drove by my house, noticing her car double parking mine, and stopped in the small alley. Karen immediately came out of her house to complain to the officer about my parking, to which the sergeant agreed, but was unbeknownst to Karen talking about her car. About 10 minutes go by, and here comes my wrecker into the alley. I walk down my stairs and say hello to the sergeant, who then greets me by name. The sergeant hands Karen a $300 ticket for her parking job, and my driver slides the wheel lift under the front end of her car at almost the same time. Karen goes ballistic, screaming at the police in all hysterics about trespassing, my parking, lawsuits, etc. Sergeant tells her that she can call my company to arrange to pick her car up, then looks at me and asks what time we open in the morning, to which I respond, 8 a.m., and ask the officer if we may go inside. He says yes, so we do. In-laws leave to go home soon after, and nothing happens. Karen gets her car back, and we think it's all over. But wait, there's more. Karen immediately parks the same exact way again. Repeat the above story with a different sergeant and without the father-in-law. Karen's car was now impounded a second time, and she's gotten another $300 ticket. This time when she picks her car up, I'm the one at the front desk when she walks in. Utterly defeated, Karen says nothing, pays the $350 impound fee for the second time in one day, and since leaving has been parking in spot 1 normally. This is the story of how I made $700 off of Karen, all because she's too lazy to go to the park with her kids. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.